right, I want you guys to stand on your feet for just a little bit more. You guys need to get some air in your lungs. I want you to reach up, I want you to stretch. You turn this way, you're going to see a pair of shoulders next to you. Grab them, give them a little rub, wake them up. Okay, we've got a lot of information we're going to cover really quick. So, all right, now turn the other direction. Wake them up on the other side. Get a drink of water. Need you guys to have all your attention, please. All right, grab a seat. And let's get started. This is going to be a fantastic opportunity to wrap up everything that you've heard today. I've just thoroughly enjoyed. Hasn't it been a great event? Just amazing speakers. And I want to pull together some of the things that these guys have been sharing today because they just absolutely align with what I'd like to share with you. And that is your game plan for creating the best life. So it truly is all about this theme, believe, belong, and become. So part of this theme of my talk is also realizing that we've got to plan, make a plan. You got to take action on that plan, and then review what you've done, see what went well, see what didn't go so well, so maybe you can make some adjustments, and then repeat. Okay, so you're going to see that kind of throughout the slides. But the first question I have is a little bit, tease off of what Leanne was going over, was why did you join Asea? Why are you here? What is the purpose? What would you really want out of an Asea business if this could create anything for you and your family? Are you tired of living below your potential? How many of us have been living below our potential? I would say all of us. We always have more room for more, don't we? Even if you're really stretching yourself, there's always room for more. And the question that I have for you is, are you ready to have a breakthrough today? If you're ready, I want you to turn next to the person next to you and point to him and say, I'm ready. I'm ready. So in terms of this question, why did you join Asea? Let's just visit that for a second. By the way, I'd like to, Dan extends his apologies. We were going to do this presentation together, so you're going to see quite a few slides of Dan and I, but he woke up not feeling his best today, so you get to hear from me. So I'm excited to be able to share this with you. So let me just start by just briefly sharing my story, because the place I was in my life, I'd been in a previous network marketing company for 19 years actually, that had lost its way. And I needed to make a change. I needed to get it right. And I knew that you could have the very best product in the world. Don't we have the best product in the world? Yes. But if you don't have the right people behind it with the right values, the right ethics, the right ethos, then what do you have? Nothing, right? So I flew to Salt Lake City and I had an opportunity to meet the founders, and I knew that that was my home. And I am so grateful for that, because I was in a place where we had more money than we had money, or just kind of getting by, and I definitely wanted to make a change. And so I was very grateful for that. Now, I was so excited. Hasn't it been amazing to hear the stories, like David Heath's story about how Richard reached out to him and making those connections? And you know, quite often when we hear about Asea, we think of people who really need to know about these products and the technologies, right? And so when I was sitting in that boardroom, one of the first people I thought of was Dan Doyle. And I didn't actually realize how serious his health challenge was, but it was pretty dire, okay? He was informed that he might want to take a look at his affairs. Let's leave it that way. Well, Dan flew to Salt Lake City under my recommendation, and he actually brought Mal Sword with him at that time. Both of them were kind of dealing with, Mal had a skin issue, a skin challenge that he wanted to kind of see if this might help, and I think that maybe curious about the opportunity, but they both got involved. Now, many of you know Dan's story, maybe some of you are new and don't, but initially Dan had a look at this from the product. Now the point is that sometimes your purpose, your reason why getting involved with Asea might evolve, and that's actually what happened with Dan. When he met Virtus, he thought, this really is a company of integrity and so forth. But and he started sharing it. In fact, he won a trip to come to Cancun. It was Virtus's kind of retirement trip that we had in Cancun, Mexico. And that's where Dan really caught the vision that I want to build this. I want to build it big. And Dan doesn't do anything halfway. But what maybe some of you aren't aware of is this bottom right-hand photo is a picture when Dan and Suzanne came to our place when we were living in Noosa. And at that point in time, because of, Dan was a very successful businessman, but because of the health challenges and everything that happened with that, it put him in a position where they were, basically house sitting and living in a van and painting a very beautiful picture of seeing the country and seeing the world of Australia. But I don't know, for me that would kind of get old after a while. And so that was his situation. In fact, he even borrowed money from his dad for the van to change his state, to make that opportunity happen. And when Dan caught the vision for this, he really went all in. And in fact, so many of you are here because Dan made a decision, right? Just by the show of hands, how many of you are in Dan's team, Dan's group? So it's amazing what can happen when you reach out to someone and you can share it with them and they can pass that on to other people too. Now, as we go through this training today, and just to wrap that up, I want you to come back to your reason of why you're here, what you would ultimately want out of an Asea business, if this was a vehicle that could create anything for you. So really just kind of work on getting clear with that. Leanna talked about your vision and your dream and making a difference and having fun, but all you really need is a good why, right? That will make all the difference in the world. You can have 1,000 million excuses, all you need is one good why. Now for today's training, what I want to go through with you, I want you to put on two hats, okay? The first hat is, how can this information that I'm about to share with you help you personally? The second hat is, how can you use this information to teach other people too? So we're wearing two hats because I want you to listen from the standpoint of being a teacher, not just a doer. Now I also want to make sure that you've got your notepads out, okay? Get your pens, papers, your notepads, because we're going to go through a number of things. Here's what we're going to cover and achieve in the next 40 minutes or so. We're going to do a self-assessment. I want you to take a look at kind of a you are here map. We're going to do a mindset. Just take a look at where your mindset is, what's holding you back. We're going to talk about accountability. We're going to do a team audit. If you don't have a team, if you're here for the first time and it's just you, that's perfect. That is your team. Everybody starts in exactly the same spot, don't they? The next thing is we're going to talk about developing a better you. We're going to do a goal workshop. We're going to go through a game plan, and we're going to talk about making a decision, a real decision, a decision today. And then the most important thing we're going to do is an interactive challenge that I'm going to give you. So it's a lot to cover. So let's just take a quick look. This is where we do a self-assessment. I want you to think, where am I on the topic of the things I'm going to go through right now, in terms of right now, but where would I also like to be? Sometimes it's a progress. We've got to have a vision where you're going in order to get there, right? So the first thing is, are you using all of Asea's products? Because the first rule of selling anything, if you really want to build a big business, do you just use Renew 28 or Asea, or do you use all the products? Guys, are you using the skincare? Yeah, good on you. I am. Going back years ago, I didn't think I'd be interested in the skincare line, but skincare is pretty amazing stuff. We all want to look and feel our best, and we want to be a picture of health. The point that I'm talking about is when you're using, and if you were to actually score that on a scale of 1 to 10, for example, using all the products, do you use them some of the time? Do you use them all the time, every day, the way that they're recommended? Because my point is that when you do, things will shift in your business because you're all in. You can speak from a point of credibility and integrity and more excitement. So if you're not using all the products, I would recommend that you make every effort to do that. Sometimes you can replace other nutritionals with Asea's nutritional supplements, for example. So definitely look at that. The next one is, what rank, what position, what level are you at in your business right now? If you're an associate, perfect. If you were a director 300, director 700, bronze, gold, whatever it is, where are you right now? And where would you like to be in 1 year from today? And the weekly income is kind of how I like to measure things, yearly income. Just take a real look at this. This is a business. If you're here to look at how to build an Asea business, then we need to look at some business statistics, right? First one is income. We want to generate an income. Our income is a representation of how many people we're helping, what kind of a difference we're making. So what is that, and where would you like it to be? Personally enrolled associates. How many associates have you actually brought in to the business? And how many customers? So all we're doing is just doing a self-assessment. You can look in your back office, you can get these numbers. If you're not exactly sure, just ask your upline how to review that, because you want to get familiar with what your dashboard is in your back office, so you can take a good look at that. Do you have an international business? Would you like to have an international business? We got an amazing global business, but one of the things is anything you want to create, where do you have to create it first? You need to think it here first. You want to have a mindset of creating a global international business. How are you with your time management? And are you focused? Or do you let things distract you constantly? And I'm guilty. I get distracted quite often, but I'm working on feeding my focus and starving my distractions, okay? Consistency in our business is absolutely vital. Consistency, consistency, consistency is Trish Schwankler's motto, and she's the #1 income earner, so there's a lot we can learn. And then investing in yourself. You always want to make sure that you're investing in yourself and your potential. All right, now I want to give you an idea on how to look at your Asea business. It's quite often I want you to understand the potential and the significance of your Asea income, okay? I used to play, and I still do, play a little bit of a game with my business, and I'll tell you how I used to do that. Right in the beginning, I already mentioned we were kind of in a tough spot financially. We were looking, so when I jumped into Asea, I really wanted to see this succeed. So what I would do is whatever the check was that I would receive for the week, where Asea pays weekly, I would multiply that by 52 weeks in the year. So when I got a $500 check in the beginning, just starting, I would times that by 52, and I would think, hey, I've got a business that is I've added another $26,000 income to my, as far as a long-term perspective on my business, understanding and realizing that I had to pay attention to that business and I had to grow it. But I didn't just look at it as, oh, I made, $400 or $500. I looked at it as the potential of what my yearly income would be at that level that I was continuing to grow. So it's a lot different way of thinking of the potential of what you've already earned. Now, Dan, he played a different game. Well, I'm just coming back to that weekly income. Let's just multiply that out. Let's say you earn $1,000 with your Asea business. Well, that's over $50,000. $2,000, you've got a 6-figure income business. Understanding, of course, that you've got to pay attention and grow it and so forth, but that's just a benchmark. Does that make sense? You like that way of kind of playing a little mental game of the potential? And it helps you to realize that you've got to pay attention to what you're growing, what you're building. Dan played a different game. He would say, he played this game that I've invested $1 million into my Asea business, and I want to get a return on my investment. I need to put food on my table. So that's the way that he started, and by the way, the way that he still runs his business is looking at it like a real business. Now, if you had to invest $1 million into your business, would you treat it differently than the $60 that you paid to become an associate? Of course you would. So it's just having a little bit of a mindset. We talked about supplemental income. If you wanted to earn, for example, $5,000 a month, if you could find someplace that would give you 5% return, you would actually have to have $1.2 million in the bank to make $5,000 a month. Most of us don't have an extra $1.2 million sitting around, do you? Okay, so it's just a way of thinking of the potential of the supplemental or the additional income or the residual that you can create. So, I want you to ask yourself a question. In fact, I want you to write this down. What would be a good year for you in terms of an Asea income? Just write it down right now, based on your business, where you're going, what you would like. Write down a number. Okay? Everybody have a number? Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself the question, what needs to change right now to hit the number that I wrote down? Next thing I want you to do is I want you to take the number that you wrote down and I want you to double it. Times it by 2. Okay? Is everybody writing this down? And my question for you is that possible? Is it possible to double the number that you did? And if so, what needs to change? Now, the next question is, or the next thing I want you to do is take the number that you just wrote down and double it again. So double that number one more time and ask yourself this question: is it possible? And what needs to change? What I want you to do is give yourself radical permission to think bigger, to think differently. There's a strategic coach that I'm involved with. Dan Sullivan wrote a book. He said 10 times is easier than 2 times. To do 2 times the results is doing more of what you're already doing, but doing 10 times is thinking differently, thinking out of the box. We've got some great ideas, and I think that we are at the pinnacle of making some big change in our business. So I just simply want you to think differently. I want you to think bigger. I want you to give yourself permission. And I want you to understand that Asea will pay you exactly the amount relative to the value that you bring to other people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with making a lot of money with Asea. You need to, because it is a representation of the money or the value you're bringing to others. So the way that I think about this, every dollar that you earn represents making a difference. I figure that we've got a moral obligation to become wealthy. Anybody else like that philosophy, that idea? Why not think of it that way? Because money just simply makes you more of who you are. If you're selfish and greedy and horrible, it's going to make you more of that. If you're kind and giving and loving, and you want to contribute, make a difference, guess what? You've got the opportunity to do that. Does that make sense? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, let's go through some other things here that I want to evaluate. In network marketing, all you really need to do is learn to do a few simple things and learn to do them well. This business it's not easy, but it's simple. So we go through a process of contacting people. And haven't we heard that over and over again in the last 2 days? Contacting people. All business starts with conversations. It's about building rapport. You're not going to have any business if you don't make a conversation, if you don't make a call, if you don't reach out. You invite them to take a look. It's also using tools, resources, and also your upline. And now don't think of your upline as a tool. That only works in Australia, right? But your upline is one of the most powerful things that you can use, is that third-party validation. We got so many great tools, resources, the app, the Alan Noble's websites, the list goes on and on. Follow-up. Now, the average person will buy something after they've heard about it, generally 5 to 7 times. But I tell you, it's shocking to see the numbers of people that don't follow up. And they might talk to someone once and they never follow up. So follow-ups is the key. Make sure that you stay in contact. The next thing is closing, asking for a decision, launching, helping them to get started, empowering your team, and duplication. Always thinking, what am I doing that I want my team to duplicate? And the question that I have is, what is your plan for closing those gaps? So I would recommend that you look at the places where you're not as strong and say, okay, well, that's where I need to work. And we tend to do what we're most comfortable with, right? Maybe we're good at talking with people, but we're horrible at following up. Maybe that's where you need work. So you need to take a good look at where you need to address that and close that gap. So, mindset. I was talking with my brother. We were talking about one of my sons. He's always in his head. He's thinking about this thing. He says, the one thing that I learned is that if you're too much in your head, you're probably behind enemy lines. Does that make sense? Anybody else have these voices in their head that says you're not good enough, you're not worthy? Well, I want to address this question. And by the way, this could be a huge breakthrough if you're prepared to take a look at it right now. What is it that's holding you back? What is it that's tripping you up, keeping you from moving forward? And let me ask you a question. Do any of these apply? If they do, I want you to write them down so that you can take a good look and say, okay, how am I going to kick this? I would be more successful if I didn't procrastinate. I would be more successful if I was more influential. I would be more successful if I had more time. I would be more successful if I wasn't so old, or if I wasn't so young, or if I didn't have doubts and fears. Anybody else have doubts and fears?
Yes.
We all do, okay? I would be more successful if I was confident or consistent, if I was more focused, if I had more confidence, if I believed in myself more, if I didn't have limiting beliefs, if I had better habits, if I wasn't a single mom, if I could travel, if I could, the list goes on and on. But one thing that you're going to be really good at is being we're all good salespeople, but we're really good salespeople at finding out why we shouldn't do something and procrastinating, right? It's the number one thing that we're really good salespeople at is cheating ourselves. So my question is which one of those is holding you back? Is there one that really resonates with you? Write it down, put a big circle around it and say, you know what, I'm going to address that and conquer it head on. And I would also say, be honest with yourself and your team and let them know, let's do it together. So for me, sometimes I find myself, do you let social media, for example, serve you, or do you let it kind of rule you? Is anybody else guilty of going on social media and scrolling and all of a sudden, an hour or 2 hours has gone by and you go, oh no, where did that time go? Anybody else? Okay. I catch myself going down rabbit holes sometimes, and I thought, I had just gone through a process of getting rid of so many, unsubscribing to emails and things because I really want to make sure that I'm focused. All right, now accountability. This is kind of a fun one. Do you behave differently if someone is watching you? I want you to pretend. This is going to be a fun game that you can play. There's so many reality shows that are out there, right? The Housewives of whatever, the Housewives of Sydney, the Housewives of Hollywood. You've got the reality shows where the cameras are following them around. I want you to pretend what would happen if there was a camera crew following you around every day and tracking your journey to being a phenomenal, incredibly successful Asea Ambassador Presidential Diamond. Okay? How would you behave differently if the camera is rolling? Would you behave differently? Well, the fact is that you are the star of your own reality show. So I want you to just play that game with you, because it's really when no one else is watching is where the rubber hits the road. That's when things really matter, is when you can discipline yourself. So just pretend that you've got some cameras around and you're being followed around and you're behaving different. You're going to behave more. How would you behave different, by the way? Would your posture be different? Would you talk with people with more vision and more passion and more professionally? Would you follow up with people more effectively? What would change if you had a camera crew following you around? Would it change? Absolutely. So it's always a great idea to have an accountability partner. I'll be honest, I don't like accountability. But I do like an action partner. So if you've got someone that you can play with, and the easiest way to do that is if you've got someone in your downline, let's say, hey, let's run together. Let's get on the same track together. We're checking in, which is really just another word for accountability partner or a mentor. And especially if you don't trust yourself, if you're checking in daily, and there's ways that you can track your results, how many people you're reaching out to, how many people you're following up with. And the thing I would say is tell the world where you're going. When you make a decision, shout it out to the world. Let them know where you're headed. Claim it. And then ask your upline to hold you accountable. So I want you to think, what would happen if you could only just increase your potential by 10%? And you do that on a regular basis. You will be amazed. I love watching people grow and stretch and how they just shine on stage. And didn't Maria do an amazing job? I gotta tell you, I just love watching how she just shines up here on stage, and just the personal growth and just seeing the team grow. So on those points, always make sure that you plan, do, review, and repeat. This is always a chance to really evaluate a business. All right, so here's an important thing that you want to do with your business, and this is to take a team audit. Let me just get a drink real quick. All right. Now the team audit, I want you to take a good look at anyone that you brought in, customer, associate. I want you to do an evaluation. And by the way, if you don't have a team, that's perfectly fine, because you're looking at what you want to create. What you're looking for in running your business is you're looking for three things. Okay? Isn't it true that your time's valuable? Okay? My time's valuable. The people that you bring into the business, their time's valuable. Here's the thing, you simply need to know who's on the same page, because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste their time. So the more clear that you can get, the better you'll be. And they'll appreciate it too, because people want to be on a train that's going somewhere. They want to know what your vision is, what your commitment is to the future. And that's where you'll get a commitment. So you need to know three things. Are they willing? Are they willing to go to work? Are they coachable? Are they willing to take some assignments and be a team player? And are they hungry? You got those three things, that's all you need. You can absolutely succeed. So when you're looking at who you want to work with, do an evaluation in terms of their strengths, their weaknesses. We are this collage of incredible talent, backgrounds, and experiences. So who can offer skill sets that maybe you don't have? And you can create, and you've got skills that you bring to the table. So you're looking at who would you really like to have in your business? Who wants to play? At the end of the day, that's it. Who wants to play and offer your help? So I want to suggest that you have a conversation with these people. And by the way, I'll just mention again, if you don't have a team, this is perfect because you're doing an analysis of who you would like to play with and who you would want on your team and who has those skills. It gives you an idea of who I'd like to talk with and why you'd want to talk with that person. Let them know. Hey, I'd love you to join me in business because I love how you are with your family, your sense of humor. I love your success in business. I think we could do something amazing together. Okay? You're finding those talents and skills and even letting them know as a prospecting kind of a thing too. So here's the topics for conversation. Ask them, why did you join Asea? Ultimately, what were you looking at out of this? Was it just for health? Was it to deal with a health challenge, a health crisis? Or did you want more? Did you want a little bit of income? Would you like a lot of income? What's going on in your life? And what if this was a vehicle that could create your dreams? What would you ultimately want out of an Asea business if this was a vehicle that could create anything for you, your family, the people you care about? Ask those questions, have a conversation, and let them know that I'm running with this. I'm doing it with or without you. Okay, we don't need to, force or coerce or be pushy. Even doing a little bit of a takeaway. I'm doing it with or without you, but I'd love you to join me. If you want to join me, and all I need to know is three things. What are they? Are you willing, coachable, and are you hungry? Let's do it together. That's the key thing. So that's the conversation that you want to have. Now, I want you to understand that we're working two different businesses. So we're looking at it from this standpoint. Number one, you're building a business. By the way, I would recommend all-out massive action is the best way to do that. Working your business in spurts of action, of all-out action is the best way to build. The second thing that you're always doing is you're going to be rebuilding your business. Now, what I mean by that is you need to pay attention to the customers, the associates. Realize that sometimes timing is an issue. I know that there's people in this room that had gotten involved with Asea and life got in the way. Does life ever get in the way? Does anybody have stress and things that happen? Say aye. Okay. So maybe that's happened with some of you. That's happened with me before. So it's a chance to stay plugged in, recommunicate, to communicate with them again and rebuild your business, to share a vision. And by the way, when you come off of an event like this, I don't know about you guys, but I am absolutely on fire and I'm inspired. And it's a perfect opportunity to go back to people that you've talked with or people that you've brought on board. Maybe people that have expired, they want to come back on board again because they're, you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of timing for people, and we can really build those fires and then make sure that you build the relationships. So here's the important thing. It's always important to build a better you. What I mean by that is you really need to monitor those voices in your head. You need to plug these leaks that I'm not good enough. What are other people going to think of me? Salt water from Salt Lake City and all those kind of things, okay? Don't let those voices get in your head. You want to change those. And in fact, just say cancel. When those voices are talking to you, just say cancel, cancel. I'm in an incredible company with a massive breakthrough technology. I'm building a global business and changing lives. All right? So you're really changing that conversation because those voices, you need to silence them and change that conversation. And also, I want to let you know that you are, every single one of you, you're worthy and you are capable. You absolutely are. We all have the power to manifest incredible things. It's just our own belief systems that are holding us back. And you can absolutely change and impact lives. by making a decision and not letting those, and taking control of those voices, because it's really about what you're going to manifest. If you believe, wake up every day saying, oh, why do horrible things happen to me? Guess what's going to happen? More horrible things, okay? You want to really have a vision for what you want to create, and that's what you're going to manifest, and you're going to build that. Fail forward. I want to tell you that anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly first. Don't have this idea that you have to be perfect, because you don't. Just fail forward and realize that there's no bad experiences, there's no good experiences, they're all learning experiences. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, please. Okay, now we're going to get into some serious action here. Let's see. So, we're going to do a little goal workshop here, quickly. Okay, focus. With focus, you want to make sure that you're feeding your focus and starving your distractions. So where is your time? Where are the distractions in your life? I'll tell you, I've given this some serious thought, and like this year I thought I am getting rid of these lots of subscriptions that I had. I like to stay up to speed on what's going on in the world, and I thought, you know what, the world's going to go on without me. So I've unsubscribed to a ton of those. I've unsubscribed to emails. I've looked at where I could leverage my time other ways. I actually have an assistant that kind of helps to go through some of those things. I look at social media as a tool, but not something that's going to steal my time and distract me. Does it still? Yeah, it does. I'm not perfect. But you really want to look at where you're going to focus your time, because focus is so important, and focusing on where you're going. Your personal income. So set a goal. We've already talked about it. Is it that double number? Do you want to reevaluate that number that you first wrote down? What is the goal that you want to set? And then go for it. Let's talk about skill development. Which skill, or which two skills, were the ones that you need to work on the most? Are you contacting people? Or are you just excited and got this list that you're going to contact at some point in time and you don't? I tell you what, there's a lot of people that I haven't contacted yet, but I'm getting after it and I'm talking to them now. So skill development is really important. Make sure that you look at where you need to focus your time and attention. Now, time. Let's talk about that for a second. If you really want to build a successful business, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your time and divide it. So if you've got a job and you've got to be somewhere, you block that time out, right? If you've got church commitments, that time is blocked out. If you've got other social commitments that are important, Melissa and I always made a commitment to have a date night once a week. That time is ours. It's our sacred time. We do that. So if you've got time, if you've got blocks of time that are committed to you, block that out. And guess what you do with all the rest of your time? You pour it into your business, and you work it with a passion, because you really want to build that future, that freedom, right? It's going to take some effort, but it's worth it. Is it worth it, David? Absolutely, it's worth it. Do you think he worked hard? Absolutely. Put a major focus on his business. Richard? Same thing. Is it worth it? That guy is a worker. So put the time into it. It's worth it. Okay, what is your personal rank right now? How many of you want to get to diamond? Say aye. Okay? Whatever that rank is, triple diamond, ambassador, presidential triple diamond is where I'm going. Okay? Anybody want to join me? Say aye. Aye. Okay. So set a personal rank goal of where you want to be 1 year from today. And also, I would recommend setting a goal, maybe a short-term goal too, maybe the next 90 days. Set a goal so that isn't just down the road, but one that you're working on right now. In the next 90 days, set a year goal and set a long-term goal. Know where you're headed, because that's going to really propel you in the direction. If you ask yourself every day a question, what am I doing today to be the diamond that I am? What am I doing today to be the diamond that I am? The word I am is so powerful. Look at yourself, see yourself as a diamond. How do you behave? How do you treat your business? How do you speak to other people? Do you have a little bit better posture? Do you walk a little bit more assertively, perhaps? I want you to have pride in your business, where you're going, who you are. So look at that rank. Also, personally enrolled associates. What's your goal? How many people are you going to personally bring into your business this year? All right, now we've got a rise to the rank incentive, and I tell you what, there is no better time. If you're already a Director 700 or above, and you don't qualify for the double double the rise to the rank. Is that incentive for you? Absolutely it is. Because as a diamond, how many director 300s do you need to have in your business qualifying each week? 6. You need to have 6. Triple diamond and above, it's how many? 7. So you need to find people and help them. So this gives you a perfect incentive to reach out to those people and say, hey, here's an opportunity. Put some extra cash in your pocket. And does that help you and your team and your business? Absolutely. I'm thrilled about that opportunity to build the Director 300s to grow your business. Okay, customers. We've already talked about customers. Event attendance. Now, I will tell you, without question, that the best promoters are going to have the biggest business, okay? What do? Like I said, it's a simple business. We bring people from event to event to event. Now, what events do we have? Obviously, we have this event. We have big events. The bigger the event, the better, by the way. So I would be setting a target looking at the global convention in the US next year. And by the way, professionals, when they bring someone on, they talk about the next event right then and there. They get them signed up and enrolled for it as soon as it's available. You don't wait until 90 days out or 30 days out. You talk about that event now. Do any of you have people that you say, oh, I wish so-and-so was here? Yeah, oh yeah, okay. Oh, if I would have just managed my time, I probably could have got so-and-so here. Okay, because that can be a game changer. I'll tell you, there's so many people. Is there, in fact, by the show of hands, how many people here, it was a big event that made the big difference in your vision, in your commitment? Say aye. Okay, so event to event. Now, by the way, that also includes Zoom calls, and it includes training events. So when you're looking at this, I love what Ed Weins, he says, you got to be at the spout where the information is coming out. You got to be plugged into the fire. If you pull those coals away from the fire, guess what happens? It gets cold. So you got to keep you and your team next to that. Director 300 legs, we talked about this already. This is a perfect opportunity with the rise to the rank, but you need to focus on the people who really want to build this and help them to grow, help them to, if you help someone earn $1 in their business, it will make a massive difference for how long they will stay in. Even if they don't do anything else, they will be on auto ship for months and months and months because they see a potential and a dream. So help them do that and help them follow up. Lines of significance. Now, what's the difference between a Director 300 leg and a line of significance? It's a big difference. That's someone who really wants to step up and build this, and that's where you focus your time and attention. And the Director 300 legs some of them will grow to be that line of significance, but you're looking for your key players that you really want to run and build with. Focus on building an international business if you want. We are in the health and wellness business. So I would recommend that we all look and feel and do our part to be walk the talk. And I realize I've got a little room to go. But this is a year that I'm making a big difference. I'm doing some things on that behalf. Focus on your relationships, your personal relationships, your business relationships, and contribution. Did anybody else get one of those cool letters from one of those little kids in Africa? Yeah, I got my letter. I was going to put it in my pocket, but I didn't. But make sure that you contribute. Tony Robbins says, the secret to living is giving. I always find that when you give, it comes back somehow, some way, maybe not from the same place. But I love that about Asea, is that contribution of giving. So let's reach in and give. And what a great opportunity to help the Advancing Life Foundation. And then put balance in your life. Always make sure that you have a little bit of fun. In fact, create that fun with your team and your associates to where you can, have some enjoyment into it. Now, vision. I want you to have a vision for several things here. For you, your family, your vision for Asea, vision for the team, for the world. And think of this, the bigger your vision is, the easier it is for other people to become a part of it. So, our purpose, our vision statement is to build a massive team of visionary leaders who are passionate about creating, making a difference in the lives of other people and living their dreams. So we have a perfect opportunity to that. So when you've got a big vision, it truly is easier to be a part of that. So put some thought in, what is it that you ultimately would want for you and your family? I am so excited about being part of Asea's vision and goal. By the way, did you guys appreciate what Scott mentioned in terms of Asea's vision? And I don't know if you know this, and Scott's told me that he says we don't need to work. He's doing this because he loves the vision and the purpose of Asea. He could retire, but he's bought into what we are doing, and for that I'm grateful to have a team that's committed to that kind of a vision. So here's what I want to share with you. I want you to have a game plan, and in that game plan, I want you to think, I am Asea. Now, what I want you to do is change this up from thinking to yourself as I'm an associate selling some products from this company called Asea. I want you to think, I am Asea. I am Asea. I've got this multi-million-dollar company that is manufacturing products. They're taking care of all the marketing and the compliance and the shipping. I get to do the fun stuff, talk with people and build something amazing, but it's my company, okay? It's just a different way of thinking about it, taking responsibility, taking ownership for your business, because when you do that, you'll think more globally. It's like a 30,000-foot view of this is what I'm creating, and I am Asea. So really take ownership of your business and the potential. I like to think of the home offices doing being like, not exactly employees, but it's kind of like that mentality. They're doing the work that I don't want to do, so I can do the work I want to do. Always work on personal development, and a DMO is your daily method of operation. So just get clear of what's important to you. Make the connections, create conversations. We've heard it over and over and over again that all business starts with what? Conversations. Invite people to take a look. Use the tools and resources. Follow up, get their questions answered, keep them in touch, introduce them to other members of the team, and ask the question. Help them get started. Sometimes we can follow up and never ask the question. Help them to get started, launch their business, and help them to develop leadership skills and empower them, and then repeat that. So, and then make sure that you have an accountability partner. So, here's the thing with this one. Isn't that a great photo? Okay, this is where I want you to get your Maori out. I want you to get your warrior out. Get mad. You ever sometimes just need to get mad? Say, I'm not going to settle anymore. I'm getting to work. I'm doing this. Okay, this is where you get mad, and you just make a decision. And so, right now is the time to create your story. This is the time to be it's your reality show story. Let's say the world isn't served by playing small. Truly play big. So 12 months going all in can really change your life. Sometimes if you work your business in spurts, but going all in, making a difference, you'll look back and you'll be so glad you did. So successful people set a goal and they tell the world about it, and then they figure it out. But amateurs, what they do is they try to figure it out first, maybe, and if it works, then they kind of quietly tell a few people, maybe if it works. So when you make a bold statement and when you declare what you're doing and you go for it, you kind of got your, you got your credibility on the line, but it will help you to move into action. So here's what we're going to do, and we're going to do a little challenge here. This is the interactive challenge. So what I want y'all to do is to pull out your telephones. This is an opportunity to win a strategy session with Dan Doyle and myself. Okay? And maybe something else here too. And a skincare set. So here's the challenge. Pull out your telephones, and we're going to see in the next 10 minutes who can make the most number of contacts. If you look at your phone, and you look at your contacts, like on an iPhone, if I go to Z and I look, there's over 6,000 contacts. How many contacts do you have in Facebook? Okay? So literally, it's ready to go. On your marks, get set, go. So when you're reaching out on these contacts, I want you to think it's simply about opening a dialogue, opening a conversation. It could be just as simple as saying, reaching out to someone you haven't talked to for a while and writing coffee ? Or maybe you're going to say something like, I saw your name and I just wanted to say hello. Maybe it's a Facebook friend. Some of you have Facebook friends that you haven't talked with for, maybe that you don't even know. Maybe they're just a friend of a friend and you befriended them. Well, you could reach out and just say, hey, this is not about saying anything about Asea. This is simply about starting a conversation. It's kind of like playing tennis. You you lob the ball, and they lob it back. When I say reaching out, it could be as simple as writing, "Hi, how are you?" Or, "Do you have big plans for 2024? Okay? I see some of you on your phones and some of you aren't. This is I assume that you came here for a reason, was to build a business. So this is a perfect opportunity to say, let's go. So you can go onto Facebook Messenger. You could go onto you can start at Z and work backward from your contacts in your phone. You could, Instagram, LinkedIn. But the thing I want to talk about is how many conversations can you start in the next 10 minutes. We got about 7 minutes left. Now, let me just share something with you from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn said, I'll win a contest. I'll win a contest if someone's good enough that they can get 9 out of 10, but I can only get 1 out of 10, I'll win. Because they'll talk with 10 and get 9, and I'll talk with 100 and get 10. So it's a matter of how many conversations that you get. Now, when you're making these conversations, when you start these conversations, you want to make sure that you keep track of them. Have a notebook and track the follow-up process. Because all you want to do right now is to open a door. Remember, all business starts with what? A conversation. I'm asking you to open the door. So we've talked with, Kimberly Larson. I love what she said when we were talking about the aspects of Ubuntu and where people, what are the belief systems? She was talking about belief system. She was talking about believing in others. And she was talking about sometimes we just need to start a conversation and show genuine interest. So your goal isn't to say, "Hey, I'm doing this incredible business. Do you want to join me?" That's a little bit cheesy. You don't want to do that. You want to just open the door and find out what's important to them. Create the conversation. Daniel Matthews talked about lots of ways of creating conversations, but it's all about finding mutual interests. So how we coming? Now, I shared this idea with Dan, and let's see, Alyssa Tucker, are you here? There she is. And we had a couple people in your team that took on this challenge, right? And so, let me just see here. That was Sahir and Sheila. Do you mind standing up for just a second? Oh, you're still going. Okay, they're still going. Did that make a difference? Did you start some great conversations? Okay, and let's see. And Sheila, I think you won that contest, didn't you? Oh, Sahir did. She's on it, guys. She's you're competing with her right now, by the way. Okay, from that contest, you've started conversations, you've enrolled people already. So what you want to do is you want to fill up your calendar. So when people get back with you, maybe look for an opportunity to get together with them. Go through, it's a perfect opportunity to reach out to people you haven't reached out to for quite some time. So we've got about, I'm going to go a couple minutes over my time, but we've got about a couple more minutes. So how are you going on that? Now, by the way, some of you might already be getting some feedback from people. Oh, yeah, I'm doing great. You don't need to try to respond and create a conversation right now. Just say, "Hey, I'm in the middle of something right now. I'll get back with you." Or just get back with them a little bit later. Right now, it's just how many conversations you can start, how many conversations you can create. Now, think about this. Let's say there's 300 people in the room here. If every one of you created 100 conversations, there's no reason why you can't. Always drives me crazy when people say, "Oh, I don't know anybody." Open up your phone. How many people? We all know hundreds, even thousands of people. So that's just an excuse, and it's a fear for. By the way, who are these products for?
Everyone.
Everybody. Everybody who wants to feel better, sleep better, have more energy, more vitality. Does it mean that products are for everybody? Not necessarily. Or excuse me, the business is for everybody? Not necessarily. But everybody can be a customer, and guess what? Everybody can lead you to someone too, right? You have no idea what's going on in people's lives. I didn't really know what was going on in Dan's life when I reached out to him, not to the extent that it was. And Richard didn't really know what was going on in David He's life, did he? but he reached out and he made that connection. How many lives can you change just by making some connections and following up? Developing a friendship and having a conversation. So, we are going to go for about 30 more seconds. We just set a timer here. Okay, everybody's still making their contacts? So here's the point I wanted to make. If we have 300 people in this room, okay, if we have 300 people in this room and each of you contacted, made 100 connections, do you realize that that's 30,000 conversations that are started? What do you think can happen from that 30,000 conversations? Think we'll generate any business? It will generate a lot of business. Now, what if you were to do that with your team every single month? Take an hour and say, we're gonna play this game. How many conversations can we create in 1 hour? All right. And my timer. All right, time's up. Who had more than, how many of you contacted more than, let's say, 10? Okay, got some people playing. How about 20? 30? Whoa, okay. Okay, stand up if you got 30. Okay, 1, 2, say, pardon? 39. Anybody got beat? Say here. No. This isn't about replying. This is just about reaching out. Okay. Fiona. 58. Holy cow, give her a big hand. Okay. Fiona, you just won a strategy session with Dan and myself and a skincare. And who is number 2? Is that Sarah? You just won a skincare also. What is love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. All right, so I am out of time, so let me wrap up here real quick. Lots of different ways that you can text, you can email, you can just reach out to people and set a goal to maybe do this every so often. You're going to take an hour or 2 hours and just say, it's game on. How many people can I contact and reach out to? And then fill up your calendar and you'll have all sorts of conversations. And you won't even worry about rejection because guess what? You'll have way too many things happening that you won't be concerned about that at all. So just become bulletproof. That's the easiest way to do it. I want to tell you that you are part of something amazing with this Asea family. It's truly a chance where you can believe. You can build your belief in yourself and others, in the products in the company. You can really belong to something special and become more, which is really what it's all about. Please don't be 5 years from now saying, I wish I would have. There are plenty of people that are in that category that said, I wish I would have. In fact, Ed Weens and I, sometimes we go someplace, we might be sitting in a hot tub or some cool place, and he said, I wonder what all those people are doing that said no. So I want to encourage you to please take massive action now to create the life that you deserve. And let's do it together and celebrate all over the world in these amazing trips that Asea wants to create and send us to. All right? Thank you so much.